my name is Rebecca Ricks, and I'm here with What's Your Brew, and I'm going to, with the Homeschool Connection, here at the Homeschool Connection in Winter Haven, Florida, and we'd love for you to follow our blog and our Facebook page. Our blog is www.thehomeschoolconnection.net, and also you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We're on Pinterest and Instagram, so we'd love to have you come follow us. But today we're doing a new live broadcast, and we're going to talk a little bit about homeschool styles and what is going to be right for you and your family. There's lots and lots, and I'm really excited about this, so we're going to actually break this into 2 different posts because there's a lot of information on this and a lot of different styles and things you can use when we're talking about homeschooling. One of the very first ones, and this is kind of something I really enjoy talking about, all the different, because it's about curriculum. And if you're know anything about me, there's 2 things I really like: coffee and books. I can drink up some coffee and eat up some books. So that would be, if I could sit all day, I would just sit by the pool, actually I'd sit by the beach with my feet in the sand and read books and drink coffee. So someday in my life of leisure, that's what I'm going to do. So when you're talking about homeschool styles, you're really talking about curriculum. And curriculum, learning about these different styles of curriculum is something that I've really enjoyed doing. In fact, I really truly have become a curriculum hoarder because I have tried to get a little bit of every type of curriculum and study it and find out kind of what I personally like and what works for me and works for other people. So I'm just going to kind of jump right in here and talk about a little bit about some different homeschool styles that we have. The very first one I'm going to talk about would be a traditional style. And traditional style is kind of what our classrooms have always kind of been. Traditional classrooms. It's teacher-centered delivery. The teacher gets up and teaches information. So it's teach, review, work, teach, review, work. Mastery of subjects. It really has to do with your core subjects, English, math, history, science. A teacher-led program where the teacher gets up and teaches the information. And here's the thing, really, when we're talking about an older grades, when you're talking about a traditional education, traditionally you would have someone who had a degree in that to teach that subject. So a teacher that was teaching Algebra 2 would have a degree in math. So they would be knowledgeable in that subject. Traditionally, they would be able to do it. So it's more of what we would think of most of our private schools have. A traditional curriculum would be Abeka, which really is the first private school, Christian school, homeschool curriculum anywhere is Abeka. They were the first one to come out. And then a lot of them have kind of been copies of that. Bob Jones, we consider that a traditional textbook. Read the section, answer the questions. Those are very traditional. Then you have, in comparison, and really the core subjects are really important. Math, history, science, language, English, grammar, very traditional. You're teaching a very traditional type of education. The second big one, and by the way, as a teacher, I enjoy something that's traditional. That's kind of where that's what I'm used to. That's the style I like. And now you can incorporate lots of different things. Most people are very eclectic. They mix in all kinds of other curriculums and different things with them to do it. But that would be a traditional. The second one I'm going to talk about real quick is classical. And classical is based on 3 different stages of learning. There's grammar, logic, and rhetoric. And so it's really based on repetition and memory. Lots of memory work. So in traditional, the teacher teaches, the child would learn. In classical, you would do lots and lots of memory work. And by doing the memory work when they're younger, when they're older, they would learn the application of it. And there's lots of different things that have come up with classical. Veritas Press is a classical. And also, part of classical, it leans heavily toward grammar, writing, literature-based. My only thing as a math person is that it's not super strong on their math. But people that use a classical are very, very pushing into making sure the rhetoric, the writing, you're taking what you know in the grammar and then building into writing, then into speaking. Lots and lots of reading, and you can't go wrong with lots of reading. So more of a grammar-based curriculum, and that works for a lot of people. If you are a writing person, then this curriculum, this style works for you, would be something that you did. I'm a math person, so I like the math. The writing for me is like pulling teeth. It's hard for me to do writing, so some of this would be a little hard. I love the reading side of it. I will read all day, but to do the writing side, that's a little, that would be hard for me. And the rhetoric, I can get up and do that and take speech, which I really do think is important. A lot of times we don't do that anymore in our schools, is make them get up and learn how to public speak, which is really important. Another thing that classical education does. The third one I want to talk about is unit studies. Now, unit studies is kind of a interesting way to do it. So basically what you do a theme, a hands-on approach. So you would do something, let's say you were going to do colonial times. And you would take that section, and from colonial times in history, you would do your math, your science, your language arts, your social sciences. You would mix everything into that unit. There is one that I really like, is Homeschooling the Woods. They have one, it's a history-based one, but each unit is like a lap book or a notebook, and it can be very, very elaborate, very detailed. Or you can do it as general as you want, but they try to mix in every single one. They try to do a unit study for each section. So you're getting some math, some history, science, a lot of it in there. I really think, and there was a time in the public school when that was a big push. When I first went to school about 15 years ago, a long time ago, when I graduated from college, unit studies was the big thing in the public school. To be able to, or cross-curriculum, or whole language, whole arts is when we were doing it for everything. So if you're teaching science, you incorporate writing with it, you incorporate reading with it, you incorporate little bits and pieces of everything with it, unit studies. So I think that it is interesting to try to mix in those unit studies with other things you're doing, especially for history. It really kind of makes it more alive and a little bit more tangible. And get your writing in with that. It's really kind of cool, unit studies. Now, kind of along with unit studies is unschooling. And unschooling here in Florida, we are an unschooling state. You can unschool. We do not have to have a formal curriculum. And really the thought of unschooling is that it is learner-chosen activities. Learner-based, a primary means of learning. So a child will learn based on what they want to learn. It really advocates very unconventional. It can also be called